Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome into the video. So in this one, I'm going to be talking about what I believe is shaping up to be the biggest trading opportunity in the stock market this year. So this trade is definitely going to be news and catalyst based, a waiting game until the right news happens. But when this news or catalyst hits, that is when we can put this trade on, make some huge potential gains. So what is this trade? This trade is going to be going short oil or short commodities and going long on travel stocks. This currently feels like it's the most crowded trade on Wall Street, where pretty much anything having to do with oil has skyrocketed over the past few months, and rightfully so, right? The Russia and Ukraine situation has given this such a boost and most likely will continue on in the short term, which is why we're waiting for this catalyst to hit to change this trend. But at the same time, travel companies have gotten killed. Having to pay so much more per barrel of oil is killing all these companies' profit margins, and less travel into European countries certainly has not helped this. But just like anything in the market, there's always ups and downs, and when this tide turns, the inverse of this trade is going to be a massive opportunity, and the backside of the trade comes a lot faster than the front side. So when the right news hits, which may be a peace treaty between the two countries, we have heard some talks about that. That is an unlikely scenario, but you got to be prepared for anything that is going to switch this trade back down to the downside, oil to go back down. And when that happens, these moves are going to be massive to the downside. The backside of the trade always comes much faster than the front side of the trade. So now talking about the specific trades on this and option plays I'd be looking to make. First up, I'd be looking to buy puts on oil companies or companies related to oil. A couple trade ideas for this one. You could buy puts on the major oil companies such as Exxon Mobile and Chevron. Of course, both of these have obviously exploded over the past few months, and that backside of the trade, like we were talking about, is going to be becoming very, very quick when it does happen. Probably the main trade I'd be looking to make on this would be buying puts on XLE, which is the main energy ETF. The reason for this is it gives you good diversity, so you're not depending on one single company, because company-specific news can always come out and change your thesis on that trade. Also, options on this ETF, because it's an ETF, has much lower implied volatility, which means that options will go up a lot more for each percentage move and just gives you better risk reward overall, while also getting that diversity, so it's kind of a win-win. Also, one more idea is to go short crude oil futures, which is ticker /CL, and especially if news was to come out that starts this trade either overnight or before market open, just whenever the market's not open. Futures is the best play you can make so you can get into that trade immediately, but just another thing that gives you that slight advantage for time. If you have futures enabled, you can enter that trade immediately. Alright, so now talking about the other side of this trade, which would be going long on travel stocks. The recent movement in travel companies reminds me a lot of the movement that we saw during the COVID crash. Obviously nowhere near to that extent, but for anyone watching the markets at that time, you know just how fast those travel stocks turned around because so many shorts enter that trade. Once the tide turns, the shorts have to cover, and those stocks can end up skyrocketing very, very quickly, bouncing back huge. So the short squeeze potential is definitely there for names like this, especially if they do go down more in the short term, which will end up being the most likely scenario right now. The first sector that I'd be watching for this trade would be the airlines. So going long on specific companies could be a trade such as going long on United Airlines, ticker symbol UAL, Delta Airlines, ticker symbol DAL, or another idea, an American Airlines, ticker symbol AAL. Those would all be solid plays here when the time is right. Probably the easiest and most beneficial trade would be going long and buying calls on the Airlines ETF, which is ticker symbol JETS, JETS. Once again, these ETFs have the lowest implied volatility on options, so you can end up getting the most gains per percentage point while also lowering some of that risk diversification wise. Other companies and trade ideas that are heavily beat down, such as Uber, could be a great trade setup as well, just since this thing has dropped like a rock recently, very heavily beat down, also starting to look very cheap fundamentally. This could be a long-term trade setup for those who are bullish on Uber in the long run, getting a great discount here, and when the tide turns, of course, this can be a beautiful trade back up. Another one in booking.com, ticker symbol BKNG. This is one that recently had great earnings results and looking very cheap on a fundamental basis as well. Currently trades for a forward price to earnings below 20, and because earnings have been so strong in this one recently, this has a good chance to be a sector leader once it comes out and this reversal starts. There's also a bunch more opportunities in the sector as well. Cruise lines, for example. I know there's a lot of traders out there where when talking about travel, Carnival Cruiseline is the go-to. This one is one that definitely moves quickly when the trade reverses. So that could certainly be a big winning trade as well for this setup. So those are some trade ideas that I'm personally looking to make when the right catalyst hits for these sectors to reverse oil back to the downside and for travel stocks to go back up. I think that is currently the biggest opportunity in the market just because it's so overcrowded right now with oil going up and travel going down. When that reverses, anybody who's long on oil, they're going to be trying to run for the exits, and there will be a ton of short covering and potentially short squeezes on the travel stocks that are getting heavily beat down right now. The best case scenario for this trade is for oil and commodities to keep going up in the short term, travel stocks continue to get beat down, because that just gives it that much more upside on the backside of the trade when the backside of the trade ends up happening. And I'm not entering this trade without the right catalyst. I need to see a specific catalyst that's going to define oil going back down, whether that ends up being a peace treaty between the two countries, an unlikely scenario, but anything can happen. But look, I have no idea what's going to happen with this full situation. All I know is that oil is not going to go up forever. There's going to be the commodity cycle like there always is, and when that trade does reverses, depending on which catalyst hits, I'll personally be looking to enter those trades and ride the trend back down on oil and commodities and ride the trend back up on the travel names. But for a situation like this, if you're prepared going in and know exactly the moves you're going to make, when that specific catalyst hits, you're already a step ahead of the market. You can get in just a little bit faster than other traders. And if you can execute on that, there's some absolutely massive gains to be had on this trade when the backside of the trade does end up coming. Always do your own research, always do your own due diligence, of course. Just give me my thoughts on what I think is one of the biggest opportunities in the market. I'm being patient on this trade, waiting for the right catalyst to hit. I'm not entering this trade anytime soon unless we do get that catalyst. So I just wanted to talk about this opportunity with you guys. Hope I provided some value to you. If so, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe button. It helps me out a ton, and I would greatly appreciate that. For anyone interested in joining the private Discord chat, getting all of my personal buys and sells, nightly watch lists, and answer any questions you have, that's the first link down in the description. And thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all next time. Peace out.